and welcome to the program People, Politics and Power. I am Imoni Amarere. All over the world, energy is fundamental to socio-economic development. Access to clean energy has become an enormous challenge facing many countries, including Nigeria, as even before the ongoing war in Ukraine, which has worsened the situation in Europe. Currently, 60 to 70% of Nigeria's population does not have access to electricity, and the power crisis will persist unless there is a concerted effort to diversify the country's energy sources for domestic, commercial, and industrial use, while adopting new technologies to reduce energy wastages and to save costs. Energy experts estimate that power outages bring about a loss of about 126 billion naira or $984 million annually. Now, apart from the huge income loss, it has also resulted in health hazards due to exposure to carbon emissions caused by constant use of generators in different households and business enterprises. It has also created unemployment and high cost of living, leading to a deterioration of living conditions. In 2006, the Federal Ministry of Power set out policy guidelines for the development and utilization of renewable energy as an alternative power source, with the aim of boosting productivity in all sectors of the Nigerian economy. It was directed at increasing access to electricity for households and micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises. It was also to energize education by providing educational institutions with sustainable electricity by adopting mini-grid technology. But 16 years down the line, the country's energy crisis has worsened, contributing to the high levels of poverty as a result of the paralysis of industrial and commercial activities. Energy professionals recommend the development of efficient energy policies, the promotion of energy-efficient products and appropriate practices, the creation of awareness on renewable energy, the development of energy-efficient technologies, resource survey and assessment to determine the total renewable energy potentials in the country, as well as identify local conditions and priorities in various ecological zones. But what are the challenges facing alternative or renewable energy resources in Nigeria today? Why the reluctance or the lack of will to turn from fossil fuels to natural processes for the nation's energy needs? We were joined by an expert in alternative energy to look at the imperatives for renewable energy and steps that are needed to achieve success. We will get to meet our experts right after now. Stay with us. We're joined in the studio by Professor Ajibade Biodun Michael. He's the founder of Center for Knowledge and Technology Development Foundation, which is an affiliate of Horizon International University, Efon Alaye, in Ekiti State, southwest Nigeria. Thank you so much, Professor Michael, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Also joining us is architect Ibechile Christopher Egudale. Is a technical person for the Center for Knowledge and Technology Development Foundation. Thank you so much, Architect Ibechile, for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Prof, let's begin on a note of enlightenment.
Yeah.
What is renewable or alternative energy?
Renewable energy, or may I say alternative source of power, can be considered as an energy that is derived from other sources outside the hydro we used to know. It can be derived from jatropha trees. It can be derived from electric propelled mechanism. It can also be derived from different sources outside the hydro normal production from the river, which we used to know. The essence of this is to see that the turbine of the concept has a direct linkage to propel and generate electricity.
Most of the world today depends on fossil fuels for its energy needs. Now, what experts like you are talking about is that we need to move away from fossil fuels to renewable energy, to alternative sources of energy. And how tangible is that in driving an economy? An economy as big, for instance, as the Nigerian economy, as the South African economy, as the Japanese economy, or indeed as the US economy.
The Japanese, over the years, when they realized that, we're using something like candle, using something that has to do with lantern, are all primitive way, and they are very dangerous to health. And they pollute the environment. Then they came up with a concept that will address that. And what they do, they began to manufacture battery by themselves to see that they're able to generate their own electricity. They began to shift away from issue of hydro because they know that they need to cut away completely from the national grid. So, because they knew that the national grid will be occupied by variety of people who are using heavy equipment. Now, what they did is this. Number one, they started from the home. They make sure that they reduce the number of appliances that are lying on the national grid. They decided to see that they create a different method through the alternative source of power, like from the sun. You can generate light from the sun. You can generate light also from even our local plugs, which we use for our vehicles. You can use it. We can even use the motor that we use for grinding pepper and etc. We can use it to generate electricity. The most important thing is that the current that goes into the alternator is commensurate to what they are getting. So by virtue of that, they now understood that there is a need for us now to start building portable light that will carry the home. And that was what bring about the issue of generator. But today, they have decided, because they realize that all these generators, they all pollute the air. In fact, some of them do cause cancer. Yes, some of them do cause cancer. Some of them do pollute the air to the point whereby you will discover that even those who are not supposed to be sick, you find out that they become sickly. So what they did was that they have to break away completely by making sure they develop a new concept of alternative set of renewable energy, that will not pollute the air, that will not destroy the atmosphere, causing different diseases to them and giving them a clean energy, which is referred to as green energy. One thing that we must realize is that today's world is not divided by ideology, but divided by technology. This has bridged the gap between the developed and the underdeveloped. The only thing that can shift Nigeria away from having to rely on the diaspora is for us to see that we have our own internally developed technology. And that is why the Executive Order 5 of the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology does not encourage importation of alternative source of power into the country. Talking about even the area of renewable energy. So we have to develop our own local content.
Okay, Mr. Agudale, Prof just talked about clean energy. How clean is clean energy?
Clean energy is energy that does not pollute the environment. Vis-a-vis, for instance, if you use energy derived from the sun, you are using up the heat that is coming from the sun because there's what's called global warming, which is coming from the energy from the sun. If we now use this energy, it will reduce the effect on the earth. Also, clean energy can also be derived from the wind. So if you use energy from the wind, we will not depend on the fossil fuel energy. So renewable energy is energy that is away from fossil fuel because of the pollutions that it causes. So we are thinking of renewable energy is using other sources of energy like wind, like I said, using water, using the sun. So this way it will reduce global warming. That is the major effect of this thing. Apart from us in Nigeria, we are not even getting enough of the energy. But generally, worldwide, we are talking about how to reduce global warming.
As a country, I'm talking about Nigeria now.
Yes.
We are in the tropics.
Yes.
And so we seem to have an abundance of sun,
yes,
water, and all these other sources of renewable energy.
Yes,
so
yes.
what exactly is the challenge that we are facing in not utilizing these alternative sources?
The challenge is the technical know-how. We do not have the technical. We have the technical know-how, but we don't have the equipment. There's a need for small equipment because you can't just suck it from the air. You need equipment to take it. For instance, if you want to take solar energy, you need solar panels to absorb the energy from the sun and convert it to electricity. For the wind, you need windmills that will convert the energy from this thing to electricity. So water, we need the water, the force of the water, the gravity of water coming down to convert this thing. So, but we need small equipment. Those equipment, we don't have them. We don't make them here. If we can make those things here, it will make them readily available and it will be everywhere for us to use.
What prevents experts like you, Prof, from helping to develop these small equipment that Mr. Aguche is talking about?
Until we begin to understand ourselves in Africa, until we begin to believe in ourselves in Africa, that these things are something we can do. By the time you have people in power who does not believe in local contents, and by doing so, they automatically encourage what is known as brain drain instead of bringing. Sometimes ago, we were at TSTV, and I said they should return our diaspora brothers who are experts in construction and development of indigenous technology. I said they should return them back to base. And I equally gave an instance that if we do not value our local content and value developing our citizens, then I said we are asking for a bigger trouble. Until we believe that there are some certain things that can help us out to diversify from oil to non-oil to empower the economy, the way forward will be like the head of a camel going through eye of a needle. Therefore, we have come up now because we have discovered that the energy sector is suffering so much and is killing the economy. And we have decided to take the bull by the horn by developing a fuelless generator, which we are working on seriously. And the prototype will soon be out. Because 95% of homes, they depend on generator. And today, fuel is so expensive, it's unaffordable. Even transportation today. If we go to Maiduguri, one of the boys over there has come up, and the governor gave him all the necessary tools and every other thing. They're empowering him. When you enter bus in Maiduguri today, you enter fuelless buses. And it's solving the problem in Maiduguri. Because one single person who is empowered believes that his citizen can do it. It is what you believe in that can give you what you want. I've been shouting over the years regarding the issue of revitalization of Ajaokuta. There is no science and technology where equipment manufacturing company is at moribund. This is where the problem is. You cannot innovate on any local development prototype when there is no equipment manufacturing company that is effectively operational. A situation whereby we will have to start begging the diaspora to come in. It doesn't worth it. If our home is well tidied, the diaspora, they will come. I gave an instance at the TSTV. I said, give free license to equipment manufacturing company. Give them land. If they want to make some payment, let them make payments that will not affect them negatively. Use mass law. Encourage them to come in. Then, 95% of all the research results that is lying on our various universities, lying on our polytechnics, lying on a shelf of our research institute, they can conveniently go to those areas, get their research results professionalized. Then at the end of the day, what happens? Then the companies, good manufacturing companies, can come for mass production. If we send somebody to go to the farm, is he going to till the land with his hand? In the agricultural produce, if we said you want to expand it, you need tractors. You need land tillers. You need land planters. You need variety of equipment. All these are manufactured by inventors. But in Nigeria, we don't value our inventors. Until we value our inventors and we believe in our inventors and see that they have access to funding, which is the principal thing.
Are you saying that the enabling environment does not exist at the moment for inventors to carry out
their research?
Yes.
It's available, but it's not effective. Why is it not effective? Because there's no equipment manufacturing company on ground where they can professionalize their research. That is why 95% of good technology that needed to be innovated end up in the valley of death. So until we believe in our own and we create enabling environment that will guarantee a quantum delivery, the way forward.
As a technical person, Mr. Gudade, Prof just talked about a fearless generator. How is that likely to work? I mean, with what will it run? Water or wind? What is it?
A fuelless generator has some components. The components are a DC motor. That's direct current motor. It has an alternator. It has pulleys and wheels, flywheels, and then it has a battery. The battery starts the DC motor. The DC motor, when it starts to run the speed of the DC is converted to the speed that can run with a gearbox, that can run, or a flywheel, that can run the alternator. So the alternator starts to run and generates
Isn't that what the conventional generators have? Are those not the same components that the conventional generators we have now have?
Yes, partly. But in this case now, the battery starts the alternator. The power of the DC motor is transferred to the alternator. This alternator now, the battery is now disconnected and start resting. Then the supply from the alternator will start to run the flywheel, and they also charge the battery. So the fuel, that fuel there's no fuel at all in this case that runs it continuously. Is the power now that goes back to run the DC motor, which runs the alternating current will be converted to DC current that will run the electric motor. The electric motor now, instead of the electric motor is instead of the engine that is using fuel, the electric motor now stands in place of that petrol or diesel engine. That's how it works.
How long is that likely to take to develop as a technical person? I mean,
it doesn't take much to develop at all. It's a very simple things. For now, we'll be buying the things already on the shelf, but eventually we should be able to manufacture our own DC motor and also manufacture our alternators
right here in Nigeria.
Yes, it's very simple thing.
Import those components
import
into
them.
Nigeria.
Yes. They are doable things. Very simple technology. It can be done. But like Prof said, we don't believe in our own. And there are a lot of researches, like you have example of the yarn pounding machine. It was developed here, but it was taken outside to go and develop and brought back at more expensive things. But if it was done here, it would have been cheaper and it would be available for us.
So, but had there been any effort, Prof, on your part and your foundation, for instance, to partner with a company in Nigeria or an energy company anywhere in the world to develop this?
On a sincere note, I would say that I started this research on this fuelless generator just about some months back, and I realized it was durable because a lot of people have been complaining over that issue, that people that comes from the foreign country, that people claim that they are bringing in fuelless generator, and that they are asking people to come and make some part payment so that they can bring fuelless generator for them. Then I realized that, number one, it's work against the presidential executive order number 5 of the federal government. And that I also realized that, number one, there is no approval granted to this kind of people. That means it is a backyard work they are trying to do. And I chased some people out of my platform, and I decided that, okay, let's see what can be done. And we began a research on it. And I called the technical man, and we looked into the technology, and we realized it was doable. And if we are even going to partner with a company, number one, we are looking at indigenous company that is viable, that will come forward and see that are ready to see that, yes. And we equally want to protect the technology from the public. You understand me? We want to protect it. We want to see that we generate the intellectual property right for production of this same equipment, in which we have been working on, and sooner or later, before we will bring the prototype again back here for Nigerians to see, we want to see that we have generated the IP for the products. But as I'm talking to you, a strong research at the foundation is ongoing on this very technology. Because, number one, we want to see that we can cut off some institutions from the national grid. We want to see that we can cut off some companies from national grid. We want to see that some estates, we cut them off from the national grid in order to give a better,
in other words, you are talking about mini grids now.
Yes, mini grids, yes.
You are going to create mini grids, say for educational institutions.
Exactly.
For certain industries.
Exactly.
And even certain living places and all of that.
Exactly.
But how big will those mini grids be? What will be the strength? Because at the moment, what is Nigeria's share of renewable energy?
I think, for instance, a university with 100 kVA, it can supply a university conveniently, 100 kVA. Even from 70 kVA, it will go a long way. Isn't it?
Yeah, universities are of different sizes. So it depends on the size of the thing. You can, if it's 100 kVA you want to do, you can have 100 kVA in 2 or 3 places.
Exactly.
To cover the university. You have 150 in 2 or 3 places to cover the university. So it depends on the size of the university. So it now depends on what kind of mini grid can be designed for the place.
Can be designed for the place. You understand?
But how much support, on the final note, how much support are you getting from the agencies of government, like the Ministry of Science and Technology, for
We have not allowed the cat
Ministries
out of the bag.
Power
We have not allowed the cat out of the bag. The reason is because the research is still ongoing and we want to see that we have a protection for the technology before we will start contacting the necessary authorities. We are just here to let them know that we are set and we are working towards relieving Nigerians. But those in authority, they must believe in their own. And we are equally going to bring in various experts in the area of technical and also in the area of electrical. We are going to bring in various heads, good heads. We are going to put them together, and we are also going to, we are only going to limit it to this. We are also going to train various Nigerians. We are going to train various Nigerians on how to produce this same technology. But until when we have completed the issue of the protection from National Office of Technology Acquisition, and then we invite son, they come and see the technology, and then they give us the certification that yes, this can conveniently, give support and give relief to the power holding company of Nigeria.
Thank you so much. Professor Ajibade Biodun Michael is founder, CKTD Foundation, that is a Center for Knowledge and Technology Development Foundation, an affiliate of Horizon International University, Efon Alaye in Ekiti State. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
An architect, Ibechile Christopher Egudale, is a technical person for the Center for Knowledge and Technology Development Foundation. Thank you for finding time to join us.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, stay with us. Our program will continue in a moment. Our second discussion is on an emerging African territory that is said to be awaiting full recognition as a nation-state by the African Union, the United Nations, and the European Union, EU. Not many people around the world, and even more so in Nigeria, would have heard the name BIRLAND. It is a territory located between Egypt and South Sudan, with a landmass of 2,060 square kilometers. Its original name was Tawil, meaning no man's land. BIRLAND was created 7 years ago on May 15, 2015, and operates a constitutional monarchy with English as its official language. Founders of BIRLAND describe it as Africa's 55th state and the continent's nearest future Dubai. Interestingly, a Nigerian professor, Barango Matthew Wenke, was recently appointed the Minister of Trade and Investment of this little-known but oil-rich territory. The president and founder of BIRLAND, King Emir Hajawi, described Professor Barango as an expert in the handling of multinational trade and investment matters. He became the second Nigerian to be appointed a minister in BIRLAND after Professor Barike Dominic Sarolaka, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the territory's representative to the United Nations. Well, my guest is Professor Barango Matthew Okumo Wenke Jr., a private refinery owner in Nigeria and president of Private Refinery Owners in Africa. Thank you so much for finding time to join us, Professor Barango.
Thank you.
Right. And congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you very much.
Well, first, tell us, what is BIRLAND all about? I've tried to capture a bit of what I was able to find out as the history of that territory. But tell us more, because as it were, you are minister of that territory.
Yeah. BIRLAND state. BIRLAND ordinarily is a state where the founder was a tourist. He went there for tourism. On his bid of doing that, he discovered that place. The original inhabitants of BIRLAND were no more than, they are not up to 3,000 origins. These were people that were not known by any country, were not colonized by anybody. They were just there. Who he talked with them, they couldn't understand English. They were just speaking their normal native dialect, language.
What is their native dialect?
Is the Kawe something you said. So they had to look for somebody from Nepal to get them being interpreted. And by so doing, they got somebody from Sudan that can interpret that. And the country is located between Sudan and Egypt, in North Africa. So,
was that largely an uninhabited territory?
Largely uninhabited. Nobody, they don't have no formal education, no marriage certificate, nothing. Just a virgin land. They were under darkness, no electricity, no nothing. They were just there. So when he founded them in that 2015, before 2015, they were founded. So
they didn't belong to either Egypt
or
South Sudan?
No, Sudan. They didn't.
But these are the two African
countries that bordered them.
Borders them.
Yes. They were not belonging to anybody. They were just there. And none of them discovered these persons, this land. So, course of discussing, King Ayawe now called them, President Ayawe now called them BIRLAND, a land that belongs to no man. So with the white man experience, he's from Holland, Netherlands, while his wife is a Moroccan. She's from Morocco. So he now began to talk and interpret and brought them to an agreement that yes, they could be a country on their own, independency. So they agreed. But since they didn't go to school, they don't have formal education, so people had to pilot the affairs of the country and develop it. And that was how they started. They brought in the prime minister from Philippines. She was recommended from the UN. In UN, United Nations, somebody recommended her. She came in. The deputy prime minister was also recommended. He's a Chinese, but Singapore Chinese. So he was also recommended, and they brought him in. And then the Nigerian, the foreign affairs minister from Nigeria too, he was also recommended from UN, and they made him the permanent rep in UN. Then I was also recommended from UN also in one of my activities, at some of my operations related to UN, and my investment drive with other multinational and other nations, because the investment community is a global village. When you're relating with people, different types of people from different background and different continents, most of these persons know themselves. And the trading platform in the world, we have 7 trading platforms. So, and all these trading platforms belong to nations, and they know them, so they know themselves. And coupled with my UN activities, I was recommended to be the Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment.
Now, anyone listening to you mention the fact that the president and founder of BIRLAND comes from Holland, for instance. The wife is Moroccan. The prime minister is from Philippines. That's Dr. Eden Soriano Trinidad from Philippines. And then you have the deputy from China and from all...
No, he's from Singapore. A Chinese
and
Singapore.
And then you and the others are from different countries of the world who think that this is a colonizing mission to BIRLAND.
No.
That you are colonialists, modern-day colonialists.
People might say, you might look at it that way. But when the country was founded by Ayawe, they went through and looked at, credibility came in here. The background checks were made, were done. Competency and your cleanliness. When we mean cleanliness, when you are not corrupt and you are decent in your dealings with people. Like I said, I have been in the investment drive. In 2015, when President Goodluck Jonathan was the president, in 2011 to 2015 before he left office, in 2012, I brought in $30 billion investment into this nation. Despite there were some orders from the government, which the president wasn't aware. The monies there were letters that were written from China. The Chinese government wrote to the president, verifiable, the banks. Letters were written to the Nigerian government to inject into our economy in the oil and gas sector. At that point, I was also trying to prepare a ground from taking the proceeds of the oil industry, redirecting the Nigerian government to invest it in the non-oil and gas sector, not just oil and gas. Because we strongly believe in the oil and gas sector. But if you remove the economy, what you are getting, and reinvest it to revamp the non-oil and gas sector, I bet you, my brother, the Nigerian economy will be really, because that means you are moving Nigeria from from consuming nation to a production nation. But now we depend solely on oil and gas, and that is why Nigeria is not getting anywhere. So for that reason, these people have known us. We are not colonizing. All the persons that were brought to head the BIRLAND state, to revamp that place. Like, for example, I got to know that even Zimbabwe, some other African nations, when they started as smaller nations, Nigeria was the one that set up their judiciary system. Some other countries were managed by Nigerians. And it was when they were on their foot that they handed over. Like at the start now, immediately September, as soon as we flag off, the 170-something countries, about 170-something nations will be there in BIRLAND. On ground, Europeans, everybody wants to inject in their money. In fact, it is even better for Nigeria to meet us. I have the mandate to set up Nigeria BIRLAND Trade Bilateral or Trade Commission. I also have the mandate to set up the consulate. Though the foreign affairs is there, but he's doing a lot of things. My brother, Barika, is also doing a lot of things in the UN for us to take off on that date. So the Prime Minister, the government of BIRLAND State, BEL-TOA, has given me the mandate to we are looking at getting up 2 structures. The commission, which Nigeria will partake, we will commission it. There will be a launch on it, a book launch on it. Events will take place. The president himself will be here and the prime minister. So when these are done, it will be an opportunity, a great, huge opportunity for Nigerians. Not me, we are not colonizing, but we are taking technology. They want to share technology with Nigeria and other benefits.
So what we are saying now is that you are like, or the current administration there is like a caretaker administration, helping to bet the new country, and
yes,
after that, hand it over to the indigenes of BIRLAND?
Yes, we are going to build it, set the structure proper. Nigerians, the world will see that this cream of men, that is why we're nominated from UN. We're recommended from UN. This cream of men are credible, are honest, are sincere. We will build the state, develop it, because the masterpiece, from the day I was given and the oath of office was sent to me, immediately I signed, before I even signed my oath of office, so many financial transactions on trade, industry, and investment has already been sent to me. In my table now, I had to source for ICT companies, credible companies, ICT companies, energy companies that will boost that place. Health care, those who are on health issues, good medical doctors, people that will set up then judiciary. So these are things we are looking at. So they know that we are to set up that place. And that was why when the founder came, and that name King Ayawe, everything, if you look at my appointment, everything there is stated decree, because the constitution is still ongoing. We are drafting they were drafting it before I met them, and I've looked at it. I made in my input, because they said the world, when they say you are a Nigerian, people just believe that Nigerians are all corrupt. And we begin to tell people, and to me, this is a challenge to prove to the world that we are not corrupt. As a Nigerian, given this heavy, huge tax to industrialize that country, the newest and smallest country in the world, one of the smallest country in the world, to bring in better trade into that place, because a lot of investment will come in through me, and to me is to showcase Nigeria. I'm not showcasing myself.
Well, BIRLAND is described as Africa's nearest future Dubai. Why is that so? Is it just because of its oil wealth?
Not just because of oil wealth. The BIRLAND state, the plan, the design we have put in place, the architectural work we want to do now, the takeoff of BIRLAND, when we launch it, people will see. And what will be sink into it? As I speak to you, the currency, why we say that the currency of BIRLAND is stronger than dollar. Lumi, one Lumi is about $100 and something. One Lumi to the dollar. One Lumi to dollar is $100 and something, while Lumi is one. And not just that, the plan we have put in place, the structure on ground, and the kind of developmental plans we have now, the investment we are bringing into BIRLAND, the state of BIRLAND state, is going to be the Africa Dubai. Why we say so is Europeans, we are doing, that is what I tried to when Goodluck Jonathan was the president. I was talking to the present minister of, the present governor of Benue State. Sorry to mention my dear brother Samuel Otom. He knows my word. I brought in a lot of investment. That man is really a man that Nigerians can really believe in. Otom is a man who is so quite calm, and he gives you a listening ear. And when you bring in a good proposal, what I was doing was, what we planned was to make, our plan for BIRLAND is to make it a tax just like Holland, Switzerland, where when you look at the tax issues, the tax will be just minimal. And people will now begin to move, both Europe, everywhere, they will move their funds, their investment into BIRLAND. I'm just trying to break it down for the common man to understand it. So they will move their monies into BIRLAND, their funds into BIRLAND. Once they inject it in there, it will become a state of the heart.
So apart from oil, what other natural resources?
Gold is there.
Does BIRLAND have?
Gold is there. Gold is there. Largely.
From the description you have given between Egypt and
Sudan.
South Sudan, for instance, it appears that is an arid area, a desert area.
Yeah.
So where is it getting the water resources that is required for some of these developmental projects that you are talking about? Does it have a river? Is it a landlocked country? Does it have a river or?
No, BIRLAND bordered the other way with Mediterranean Sea, but large land on it. You can't get to the sea. Now we are behind Italy. You know, and to my greatest surprise, there are a lot of, there is a flat land, and you can see some hills at the end of some area. And where a state that we thought would be very hot, it became like a cold region. A cold region. And as we speak, we're already working on the water resources. Not river, but water channels. We are laying water in our pipes now. We have started some temporary constructions and temporary structures and temporary infrastructures. But the first and foremost, the airports will be ready for the 170-something countries to land. So that we'll begin to, September, once that is flag off, we'll begin to apportion the region, the province. We're going to operate on provisional system of government, but the American system of government, presidential. So
at the moment you run a monarchy.
Yeah, at the moment
because you have a king,
yeah, no,
a constitutional monarchy. That's what you call it.
No, we call it constitutional monarchy because the constitution was not there. He was the founder. So when he brought this, and we asked him, those that were there to ask him. So since they asked him, I am in the system now. So we asked him. Now when they asked him, he said, the system we are going to operate, he's a white man. What we are going to do is going to be American, the presidential system, the American system of governance. So if so, then our constitution has to be redirected that way. So the constitution is on process. Very soon it will be ready before the flag off, September. So when the constitution is ready, even now they've started addressing him president. It's not going to no longer, it doesn't answer king anymore because it's not going to be hereditary. It's going to be presidential system where I think after the constitution, the prime minister will be called secretary of state and vice president will emerge among the cabinet and then he will be president and he will, I think, have the opportunity to maintain and develop that place because it's already getting old, but once it's aged, democratically elections will be done and president will emerge.
So at the moment, how involved are the indigenous people in the running of the territory?
Yeah, the indigenous people, one, they are not educated. Two, they didn't school, they are not scholars. And they don't know, they can't read and write.
And
so
there
what
are schools there now?
Now we are putting structures on ground. We have put in temporary structures. People are trying to. That is why I'm trying to set up the commission so that we can get some Nigerians that will transfer technology to them. And once we get real men, there are opportunities, real Nigerians who are ready to sacrifice and work towards the plan we set up, not going out the other way. We'll be able to take them to that place and induct them into the system. They will be inducted proper, and then they'll be part of it.
So how are you running this ministerial appointment with your private businesses in Nigeria?
Oh, it's very stressful. Like I told you, we agreed 12:45 I should be here. I was on phone with my colleague, the foreign affairs man, because I told him about this program. We were talking, and I also had to, because when I got the call from you and your statement that I should be here and then the timing, so I had to direct things that are supposed to be done in the office and the accountant. As I woke up, I don't sleep these days. I don't even have time for myself. I sleep 1 hour barely a day. Because the prime minister, which is running the administration with the president, Philippines and us, it's like 24 hours, they're almost 24 hours differ. So I will be with her till 4 a.m. Then maybe I will sleep by 5, wake up by 6. Then I begin to do the Nigerian this thing. Then my investors are also on my neck. I don't have time for now.
All right.
Since as a young man I need to work.
We wish you the very best, Prof.
Thank you.
Professor Barango Pokumo Wenke Matthew is the Minister of Trade and Investment of this little known territory, or as he describes them, Africa's newest nation state, BIRLAND, which is wedged between Egypt and Sudan. Of course, he has an enormous responsibility to bring awareness and knowledge about the new territory to the world, and indeed attract investment to that territory. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's our program for today. Please join us again when we bring you a fresh edition of People, Politics, and Power. Bye for now.